Freedom, man. That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and end slavery, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Welcome one and all, you're listening to What on Earth is Happening right here on the Republic Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. The network's website, of course, republicbroadcasting.org. And it is great to be here live on the airwaves once again. It's been a long time. I haven't done a live radio show since January 20th of 2013, and my last pre-recorded podcast was way back on August 31st of 2013, so it's been quite a while. I want to thank a few people for making this possible. The first and foremost is Bob Tuscan for assisting me to get on the Republic Broadcasting Network and recommending my name. I want to thank John Stadmiller, Michael Powers, and the whole crew at RBN for doing a great job and continuing to do what they do best, and that's put quality radio on the airwaves. So, I want to welcome all the new listeners who may not be familiar with me or my work, and I want to give you a little bit of background information about what I do and how I conduct the show usually. So, the first thing to keep in mind is that this is not show number one of What on Earth is Happening. This is just show number one of What on Earth is Happening in its new incarnation here on Republic Broadcasting. This show has been going on for years, and it is a tapestry of information that really needs to be understood in its fullness as a whole. So for new listeners, I highly recommend that you go to my website at whatonearthishappening.com and go back to podcast number 1 on the podcasts page of my website and listen to the shows forward in order without skipping around. That's how you'll get the most value out of this show. That's how you'll get the biggest picture will emerge in your mind and your worldview. It is possible for it to change as a result of listening to those broadcasts in order without skipping around from number 1. So that's how I want to open up the show and explain to people that's how you're going to get the most value from this podcast, and I'll periodically remind people of that. So I want to make a few announcements about what I've been doing because, again, for people who have been just familiar with my broadcasts, I haven't been broadcasting in a while. I've been doing some other work. Of course, I had the natural law seminar back in the summer, and that went really well. My last podcast that I did back in August was about the homework assignments that we gave for that natural law seminar here in Philadelphia that I gave to the students. We collected a whole bunch of information and data about what people are thinking in their mind. We asked them questions, philosophical questions about what they perceive to be going on in the world, and I covered that in the last podcast, 144, on my website. And that was back in this summer. Now, since then, I've been doing a lot of live presenting. So after that, I did another natural law seminar, but it was an all-day, one-day seminar that was tailored. It was shortened and tailored to be recorded and then put online. And that was done in New Haven, Connecticut, back on October 19th. And Art Capozzi and Chris Capozzi put that together, and I want to thank those gentlemen for doing a great job hosting that event. And Richard Grove and the entire Tragedy and Hope team from tragedyandhope.com recorded that broadcast, recorded that seminar, and they did a phenomenal job recording and editing it, and that has been posted to the web about a little over a month back, and that is on my videos section of my website. I consider that one-day seminar probably the most important and crucial work that I have ever put out into the world. And for people who are not familiar with my work, I highly recommend to go to my website, to go to the videos page. It's the first 3 videos under the videos page, and I highly recommend watching that seminar in its entirety. I'm very happy with the way it all turned out, happy with the way that I put it together and delivered it, and I think it's been very impactful, and a lot of other websites have picked up on that site, picked up on that video and shared it on their site as well. So really happy with the way that came out. Once again, thanks to Art Capozzi and his brother Chris and Richard Grove and the whole Tragedy and Hope team for making that possible. I also spoke back in December 12th in Philadelphia. I delivered a presentation called Cosmic Abandonment that was really, I guess you could describe it as, this was an advanced class. This was for people who already understand the details of the control system and how mind control works, topics that we talk about here constantly on this show. And it was for people who already grasp all of those things and want to go further in their understanding about why this is the case and why the human condition is the way it is. We're going to be talking about that moving forward on this show and the future What on Earth is Happening broadcasts. But this presentation, Cosmic Abandonment, was also recorded. It is on the videos section of my website. And I want to thank Chris Augustine from the Philadelphia UFO Meetup Group here in Philly for making that possible and hosting me as part of that event back in December of 2013. On January 11th of this year, just over a month ago, I presented at the second annual Tesla Memorial Conference that was hosted by the Tesla Science Foundation, a great group of people that I work with who are committed to making free energy manifest in our world and furthering the science and the philosophy of Nikola Tesla. And you could check them out at teslasciencefoundation.org, great group. They hosted a Tesla Memorial Conference on the memorial of Tesla's death at the New Yorker Hotel in New York City. I delivered a presentation there that was called Free Energy, From Suppression to Manifestation? ? And I explained to the free energy movement at that conference that if we're going to make free energy manifest, if it's going to manifest, free energy technology is going to manifest in a way that is truly beneficial for humanity, that is unfortunately impossible to achieve while human slavery remains the condition. Slavery must be ended first before free energy can manifest. That's what this presentation that I delivered at the Tesla Science Foundation's latest conference was all about. You can check out that video also. That's a short one. That's only about maybe half an hour or so long. That's up on my website at What on Earth is Happening as well in the videos section. I want to send thanks out to Ivan Oyola Jr. from Phoenix, Arizona. He is the head of the organizer of the Free Your Mind Arizona group. And he's been hosting this weekend a free 2-day viewing event. It's a free screening of my natural law seminar. Actually, earlier today, he hosted part 1 and 2 in Phoenix, and tomorrow, Sunday, February 23rd, he's going to be hosting part 3 of my natural law seminar presentation. That's going to be taking place 1:15 p.m. at the Cesar Chavez Public Library in Phoenix, Arizona. That's at 3635 West Baseline Road, Phoenix, Arizona. We'll be right back after this break, folks. Don't go anywhere.
I've got one more silver dollar.
Alright folks, we are back. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening, and I'm Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. I was talking about some projects that I've been working on since the last time I was broadcasting, and I was thanking some people that were involved in those projects and for making them happen. And I want to talk about some upcoming shows that I'm going to be interviewed on. I'll be interviewed on Starborn Support. This is going to be happening on Sunday, February 23rd. That's tomorrow evening from 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. You could find Starborn Support's website at blogtalkradio.com/Starborn Support. I'll also be interviewed on next Friday, February 28th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern on the radio show called Spirit Quest with Tony Pashik. This is going to be part 2 of a 2-part interview, and I'll be posting the first part probably later on this evening or tomorrow during the day to my website. You could check out that at wolfspiritradio.com. Next week's show here on What on Earth is Happening. Again, this is going to be a weekly show here on Republic Broadcasting from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Central Time, and Eastern Time it's 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern. So next week on the show, I'm going to bring on a very special guest, Jay Parker. Jay is a satanic ritual abuse survivor. And we're going to come on and just talk about everything that's going on in today's world and get Jay's take on, some solutions as well. So Jay Parker coming up next week on What on Earth is Happening. I will be giving a live seminar, an all-day seminar, on Saturday, March 22nd, 2014 in Asheville, North Carolina. The topic is going to be New Age BS. Also, you could check out my previous New Age BS presentations on my videos page of whatonearthishappening.com. This one is going to be called New Age BS and the Suppression of the Sacred Masculine Revisited, with even more New Age deceptions exposed. For people that know me, they know I'm no New Ager. I talk about what I call streetwise spirituality. This is the new term that I want to coin for what I do. I come up here and I talk about streetwise spirituality, not seeing the world through rose-colored glasses, but telling it like it is, unapologetically, even if feathers have to be ruffled and some people get offended. So it's not a New Age approach by any stretch of the imagination, and people will get the feel for my tact as this broadcast continues and other broadcasts continue. So this is going to be taking place Saturday, March 22nd, 2014 at the Lexington Avenue Brewery, 39 North Lexington Avenue in Asheville, North Carolina. I tout this as, explaining to the New Age community, this seminar, what it's really about is asking them, are they really awake? Are they really awake and aware? Or are they just in a spiritual trap that's designed to make them think that they're truly awake and aware? Okay, and again, this is about streetwise spirituality, and it's about exposing the New Age movement as a religion that's been deliberately created and designed to prevent humanity from developing a deep understanding of natural law. And this is the only understanding that can really help us to break out of our current condition of slavery and become truly free. We'll be talking about natural law a little bit later. I'm going to expose a lot of subtle New Age deceptions in this seminar, and these are teachings that have really been disguised as spiritual teachings. They're so-called teachings, but really they're deceptions, and they're very, very subtly put forward by the New Age community. I'm going to expose 15 New Age deceptions in this seminar, and then I'm going to offer corrections that I'm going to convey, in which I'm going to convey deeper spiritual truths to balance each of these New Age deceptions. So if you've been lured into what I call the feel-good spirituality of the New Age movement, this is going to be a presentation. If you're in the Asheville area, you're not going to want to miss. You need to see this to understand how you're being deceived by the New Age community, by the New Age movement, I should say. So, once again, Lexington Avenue Brewery in Asheville, North Carolina, Saturday, March 22nd. The doors open at 9 a.m. Advance tickets are only $7, very reasonably priced by the host, Carolyn, who I want to very much thank for putting this all together. You can also call 828-782-0840 for tickets. Advance tickets are $7. Once again, that number is 828-782-0840, or you can email iwalkwithpurpose@gmail.com. Once again, that email address for advanced ticket requests to this seminar in Asheville, North Carolina, iwalkwithpurpose@gmail.com. At the door prices for people who don't get their tickets in advance will only be $10, just a $3 markup. So very, very reasonably priced seminar. I hope a lot of people can make it out. So, those are my announcements. I have one other quick thing to announce. Today is the 5th day of a 10-day juice fast that I am doing with my partner, Barb. We're both doing a 10-day juice fast. Nothing but freshly juiced, raw, organic juice from fruits and vegetables for 10 days to clean the system, to detox, and reboot the gastrointestinal system and the digestive system. So, while on the first couple of days of this juice fast, which again, Barb and I are doing together for 10 days, I made a decision. It was going so well, and it still is going so well. I feel really great. I feel really clear. I feel really energetic. I've decided that I'm going to extend my juice fast for 30 days. I know this can sound somewhat extreme to some people, but what this is going to do is give my system a chance to reboot. For people who don't know, I have diabetes. I have what is known as 1.5, type 1.5 diabetes. It's the rarest kind. It's neither type 1, which is childhood diabetes, childhood onset, juvenile diabetes as they call it, nor is it type 2, which is adult onset of diabetes. It is an in-between type. They call it latent juvenile diabetes, or they call it adult onset of juvenile diabetes. So this is termed type 1.5 or adult onset juvenile diabetes. This came on when I was in my early 30s. I'm now 39 years old, and I'm tired of living with diabetes. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy having to stick myself to test my blood. I don't enjoy having to take insulin shots every now and again when my blood sugar goes high. I'm going to try to defeat it for good. And doing some research into juice fasting, it is possible to completely cure diabetes. While people will tell you that that's impossible, you can do it through a reboot of the gastrointestinal system and the digestive system through a juice fast lasting 30 days. Now, I'm taking precautions with this. I'm doing a lot of research when I do this. I'm getting only the top quality fruits and vegetables to do this. And again, the juice fast is just freshly squeezed or freshly juiced. I juice from an auger juicer, a single auger juicer. Organic fruits and vegetables. You could also drink, of course, water and herbal teas only on the fast. So wish me luck. Hopefully I'll be able to announce at the conclusion of it that it was successful, and maybe months after the conclusion of this 30-day fast, I'll be able to announce that my diabetes is gone completely and for good. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. everyone. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening here on Republic Broadcasting. I'm your host, Mark Passio. So I was going through some announcements. I want to give the call-in number for tonight's show. The call-in number is 800-313-9443. Once again, the call-in number, 800-313-9443. You can call in and get in the queue now. I'm going to try to take some calls in the third hour of today's broadcast. So, the plan for today's show is I want to explain to people what I've been doing for people who are new to the show and give a very brief review. In the second hour, I want to cover some new material, or reasonably new material. People may have heard me talk about it before in presentations and on other shows, but I want to really talk about what underlies the human condition, the psychological dynamics that are going on inside of people that are really contributing to what we're experiencing here on Earth in the form of slavery. So that's going to be coming up in hour number 2, and today's topic is going to be abandonment issues, psychological parental abandonment issues. So for people who are unaware of how I add visual imagery to the show, to the live broadcast, what I do is I make slides that accompany each show. It's like a presentation that you would see someone give live, like in a presentation room. And I post the slides on my website, on the radio show page. So if you go to whatonearthishappening.com and you click on the radio show tab of that website, underneath the player for the live broadcast, you will have a section called Images for Tonight's Show. That will be there when I am live. Okay? And you could click on the images, the numbers of the images that I'm talking on, to follow along with the slides as I am referencing them and referring to them. This will add a lot of visual imagery to the topics and the concepts that I talk about. Okay, and it will help to solidify those and hammer them home. That's why I add that imagery as part of the live broadcast. The imagery is then copied to the podcast page when I archive the show on my website in the podcast section. Okay, so you could also get all past presentation images or slide images that go along with each podcast on the website on the podcast page. So with that having been said, those are all the announcements and instructions that I really have. I want to jump into the show for tonight. So let's go to slide number 1 that is on the whatonearthishappening.com radio show page. Of course, this is the title of the show, and it's the title card or the title image for the What on Earth is Happening website. When I conceived of speaking out and doing a radio show way back when I first started public speaking, I came up with the name What on Earth is Happening for what I do, because I wanted to try to explain to people what's going on here on this planet. You'll notice that the name of the show, the name of my website, does not have a question mark. It's not me asking the question, what on earth is happening? This is my attempt to convey my understanding of what is taking place on this planet to other people. And the big difference about what I do that I feel sets this show apart from what other radio show hosts do is I don't focus all of my time talking about the symptoms, talking about the expressions or the manifestations of the illness that we are experiencing here as humanity that we call the human condition. Okay? We could describe the prison forever and ever and ever that we are in. What really needs to be done in order to free ourselves from our self-imposed slavery is to understand the causal factors that have led to this condition. Until you understand the causal factors, it is an impossibility to create any lasting real change in a positive way in the actual world, in the manifested reality. That cannot be done until you truly identify the causal psychological factors, the causal psychological dynamics that are taking place within the human mind, that are creating the conditions in the physical world. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. And I'll clarify this, the reason that I talk about these factors as we go on with this broadcast. The second slide shows that this is a tapestry. I have a little picture of a person's mind, or the head of a human being, and they are, it's comprised of puzzle pieces. That's what we're really looking at here. We're looking at a huge jigsaw puzzle. To try to get the big picture, it's very difficult. You're not going to get the big picture just listening to me today. Okay? I couldn't possibly give you the big picture of everything that's going on in the world, okay, in a 3-hour broadcast. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to do extensive research, extensive study, extensive reading. And what my podcast is all about, what my former radio broadcasts are all about, is trying to point people in the right direction. Give people a tapestry of information. That's what on Earth is happening is. It's a tapestry of information, and it is intended to be taken in to other people, the listeners and the watchers of this information, the viewers of it, it's meant to be taken in really in its entirety as a whole, not in part. That's why I don't recommend going onto YouTube and just watching random YouTube videos that people have put up there by me, or even that I've put up there on my own channel. I would recommend the podcast above all else, going back to number 1 and listening in order, okay? So that's the best way that the whole picture is going to be seen and understood by the listener, is if you take my podcast in its entirety from the start in order without skipping around. I know that's an arduous task. I know what I'm asking when I ask people to do that. I know how much time I'm asking you to devote to that task. Okay? But that is the spiritual currency, time and attention. That's how we get enlightenment, by spending our time and attention wisely. That's how we come online to an accurate understanding of what's taking place both within us and around us. That's what consciousness is. You have to pay for that. Okay? You have to put something out to get that that higher consciousness in return. And that is the spiritual currencies of time and attention. And I do know that I am asking for those things. And I do know that that's going to be an investment to put into that task, that work of listening and taking the time and paying attention. Okay? So if you are willing to take that time and attention, you will get the maximum value from this show and from this broadcast. And you will, again, this is going to be later information. What we're talking about here, I'm not starting from scratch and starting from the beginning. This isn't show number 1, folks. This is show number 145. That's the show tonight, show 145. Okay? So there's a whole lot of prerequisite information and knowledge out there on my podcasts. I recommend people go listen to them and catch up. Okay? So, again, what I do differently, moving to slide number 3 here on the images for tonight's show, I get down to the causal factors and ask the all-important, all-empowering question, the most important and empowering and significant question that can ever leave a human being's mouth, and that is the question, why? Why is it this way? See, a lot of people know that a police state is here. A lot of people know we're living in a prison system. We're living in a worldwide, huge spiritual prison. People know this. Okay, some people are still in denial about it. I'd say really most of humanity is, but the people who listen to a network like this, they know we're in a lot of trouble. They know a prison is closing in all around us and has largely already been built. But one of the things many other shows don't do is they don't ask the question, what were the causal factors that led to this condition? How was this done? How was this made and created? What is going on inside the mind of people that ultimately led to this condition being possible to be manifested? So why is the question? I'll be asking the question why more than any other question. You'll try to count the number of times we even bring it up in tonight's broadcast. Okay? So that's what I feel sets this show apart. It's trying to get down to the root causal factors. What that's called is making a diagnosis of the problem. Without a diagnosis, you are not in an empowered position to affect a solution, to solve the problem. You cannot do that unless you've already made an accurate diagnosis. And what the word diagnosis means, and you'll hear me breaking down the meaning of words, and I'll do this in slides and I'll do this on the air throughout the show. Diagnosis comes from the Greek language. It comes from ancient Greek. The prefix in Greek, dia, D-I-A, transliterated into English. In Greek, it would be delta iota alpha. This prefix means through, or by way of, or by method of. And the Greek noun gnosis means knowledge. So diagnosis in English means by way of knowledge. We'll pick it up from there on the other side of this break. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening. We'll be right back.
Through the tide, penetrate the evening.
There's a code of silence that we don't dare speak. There's a wall between us and a river so deep. We keep pretending that there's nothing wrong. There's a code of silence and it can't go on.
The slavery can't go on, folks. We have to end it, and that's what this show is all about. When people ask me what on earth is happening about, ladies and gentlemen, I just tell them anymore. This radio show, my website, everything I do is about ending slavery. That's all it's about, you know. My website is about slavery and how to end it. It's about the ongoing condition of human slavery and how we can end it. And we must end it. We must end it because it is wrong and it should not continue. So before the break, I was talking about really how you understand how to get out of a condition you don't want to be in. When you're ill, when you're sick, you have to make a diagnosis first. You have to understand what's causing the problem. You can't treat the symptoms. That's why this show is called What on Earth is Happening, but it's not going to be about current events in the sense that I'm not going to sit here and break down individual news stories and current events. That's not what I do. Other people do that. They're great at doing that, and you can get that elsewhere. What I do is I talk about the underlying psychological causal factors that have led to the current condition and how we can ultimately resolve those factors by doing internal work to heal ourselves, to heal our psyches, and then in doing so, we will change the current condition. So that's what making a diagnosis is all about, and it means by way of knowledge. Only through knowledge can that be done. Now, there's things that hold us back from that knowledge. These are mind control techniques, okay? We've talked about them extensively on past shows. And ultimately, what they all are is a form of religion. And I should qualify that statement by saying mind control techniques are all forms of false religion. Okay, there is such a thing as true religion. I'll get to what that really is. Okay, but now when you touch on the subject of religion, a lot of people are going to get offended. A lot of people are going to get upset. And here I'm going to attempt to upset everybody right here. Okay, because a lot of people who are still listening to me and listening to this show and listening to networks like Republic Broadcasting and others, they still have religions. They still have a religion that they're clinging on to and trying to make that religion into the truth. A false religion that they're trying to make into the truth, or a religion that only goes halfway or part way, okay? And I tell people all the time, what we have to do is stop making these partially correct religions or partially false religions or whatever you want to call them, okay? We have to try to make these religions, these belief systems that we cling to, okay? We have to stop trying to make them into the truth. And we need to make truth into our religion, because that's the only true religion that there is. The quest for the truth, actually identifying what is taking place, what is going on, and being honest about that. Truly being honest about that, and then telling other people about it. That's the only religion that it really exists. That's the only thing that can really reunite us with our divine essence, reunite us with where we want to go, where we say we want to go, reunite us with true freedom. And that's what religion in the positive etymological derivation. Okay, religion comes from the word religare in Latin, which means to reunite with. Okay, something that has been separated from, it means to be reunited with. That's what the positive connotation or aspect of the word, the meaning of the word religion means. But religion in Latin, the word religare in Latin, where religion comes from in English, also means something else. It means to tie back, to hold back, or to thwart from forward progress. So there are major religions that are holding us back from where we say we want to go as a species. And many people are clinging to these and not even realizing that they're holding us back from where we want to go. So in slide 4, I ask people, do you have a religion? Okay, this is important in coming to this show, especially if you're new to it, to identify if you have a religion. And here's the 5 world religions, okay? There's 5 overarching major world religions that many people will not even think of as religion. The first is politics. Okay, believing in politics, believing that people need leaders, that people need government, that people need to be controlled, that there needs to be political parties, that we need to vote, etc. All of these things, okay, are belief systems that form the religion known as politics. Political structures, belief in government, whatever you want to call it, that's a religion. That's one of the big overarching worldwide religions called authority. The belief in the religion called authority, which does not exist, which is an illusion, and it is a product of a diseased mind, as we will talk about much later. We'll talk about very much later on, I should say, okay? Not much later in time, but we'll talk about it a lot later on as we go through the broadcast. So a second world religion is scientism. Not science, not true science, but scientism. This religion that has grown up about modern science, that it is the only vehicle that can propagate truth. And there is no other mechanism for understanding truth except the modern day scientific methodologies and scientific paradigm, okay? And that has often nothing to do with real science. It is a belief system as much as any other religion, okay? What I call scientism. The cultural religions comprise, and I would say these religions that I've just described, politics, the political structures, authority, government, and then scientism, are the left-brained religions. These are religions which work through the left brain. Then you have the right brain religions. You have cultural religion, okay? This is what are thought of as the world religions. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Shinto, you name whatever other cultural religion is out there, okay? And that's what I mean by cultural religions. I group these all together and just call this cultural religion, okay? That's a right brain form of religion. Then there is the New Age movement, another right brain religion. Okay, so you have 2 religions for the left brain, you have 2 religions for the right brain. All right, and the New Age movement is something I've vehemently and viciously attacked as a mind control technique and a religion repeatedly throughout the What on Earth is Happening audio series. And again, I'll be continuing to do that and break down the subtle deceptions of that religion as time moves on. Again, I'll be speaking March 22nd in Asheville, North Carolina, all day on that topic. So we have 2 left brain religions, 2 right brain religions, and then we have the one overarching religion that is the most powerful religion of the entire earth, that unifies all of the other religions together and solidifies them in people's mind. And it is what all the other religions are ultimately working toward and working to keep propped up as the global, universal, world false religion, and that is the monetary system. That is money as a concept in general. We've talked about money being an illusion on past shows. You can check that out in the podcast section, and I'll, of course, be discussing that much in the future as well. Okay, those are the religions. If anybody is attached to one of those religions and has even been offended by me just coming out and saying that those are mind control techniques and are holding humanity back from where humanity says it wants to go, which is to a place of freedom and order in society, okay, then you yourself are under mind control, all right? And I don't care whether that offends you or it doesn't, or it offends you or not. Get as offended as you like. Okay? One of my taglines for the show is get as offended as you like. I'm not here to make friends with you. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here for you to like me. I'm not here to baby spoon feed you. I'm not here to tell you everything is going to be okay. I'm here to tell you the cold, hard truth, the matter-of-fact reality about what has been going on this planet and is going on right now, whether you like to hear it or not. That's what I am charged to do. That is my work, and I am going to do it. And I'm not going to apologize about doing it. I'm not an apologist for humanity, and I'm not going to apologize for offending anybody. When I call these things religions and mind control techniques, mind control tactics that are holding us back as a species, I mean it, because that is what they are. We'll pick this up on the other side of the break. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening. We'll be right back. To escape the devil's grip of mind control. We have to get out of the head cage. And that is the underlying fundamental problem that we face as a species, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. It's really great to be here. This is the debut show on the Republic Broadcasting Network. The show will air every Saturday night from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Central Time. And before, in the last hour, we were talking about religion acting as a form of mind control that holds us back. False religion. The 5 overarching world religions, the 2 left-brain religions of government and scientism, the 2 right-brain religions of cultural religion and the New Age movement, and then the 1 universal religion that holds them all together and propagates all those forms of mind control out into the world, the monetary system, money, fake money. So, if you're coming at trying to understand the world from within one of these boxes for consciousness, one of these cages, these mental cages, you're not going to get very far. Okay? So in slide number 5 on the whatonearthishappening.com radio show page and on the podcast, this is show number 145, I explain that if that is your approach, you're not going to get very far, and therefore, you already have something that's holding you back from truth in place that you have to work on. So I put a huge, no sign through all of these things, just showing visually that these are the things that hold us back from where we say we want to go. And if we want to get to a place of true freedom, we're going to have to understand that all of these things are deceptions that we have bought into. And see, that's part of the problem. People have a hard time because they're so trapped in the ego, admitting that they're wrong, admitting that they've bought into a lie, that they've bought into something that is an illusion, that is fake, and that is ultimately holding them back. So I ask the question, do you have a religion, and is it holding you back from where you say you want to go without you even realizing it? Moving on to slide 6, I'm attempting to explain here this dynamic of correspondence. This is one of the natural laws that underlies all of creation, that underlies universal laws in the universe. That as the microcosm, the very small things organize themselves, so the very large thing will be organized, that those small things comprise. So this is the concept of as below, so above, and as above, so below. Okay, this is the concept of correspondence, the principle of correspondence it is called. What I'm explaining here, that as there are a whole lot of people still trapped in the dynamic of mind control and the belief in illusion, and that's what this slide on number 6 shows. It shows a person with their head as someone who is caged, who is behind bars. Their head itself, their mind is in a prison. Okay? Until that dynamic changes and we are able to break out of all the multifaceted forms of mind control that affect humanity, do not expect the so-called outward reality to change. So slide number 7 says this cannot change. So it's really a twofold slide, 6 and 7. Until the dynamic of being in mind control changes and we get out of it, the external reality of the earth being a huge prison, the earth being an entire worldwide police state, cannot change. Not only will it not change, it cannot change. It is an impossibility for it to change to anything better and different from that unless we get out of those forms of mind control that are holding us back. And that's, again, what my whole show has been about, what all my work is about on whatonearthishappening.com and on all the past podcasts. Again, so I suggest you go back and listen from number 1 forward. So, slide number 8 explains this dynamic, okay? The dynamic of how we are ultimately co-creating our reality. How all of the people of the world, through what they are thinking, through what they are feeling, and through the behaviors that they put forward into the world, how we are together in the aggregate co-creating the shared experience on Earth. Okay, this is an inescapable conclusion once you understand that it must follow a natural law of correspondence. That as all of the individuals are doing on the earth, so you're going to get a society that looks like what those individuals have made and created. All right? So our reality is built according to this model that I'm putting forward in this slide on slide number 8. The bottom, I'm going to work from the bottom up. Okay, so we're building a structure, and it's a 4-part structure. There's 4 tiers to this structure. We're starting off with a foundation, and then we're building 3 levels on top of that foundation. The foundation is the available information that we can take into ourselves, the potential knowledge that we can gather, process, and understand, and then act upon. All the individuals on Earth can do that, okay? We can gather information. Okay, we gather potential knowledge, we take it in, we aggregate it, and then take it in. We're gathering it, taking it into ourselves, processing it through the mind, through the brain. We're then coming to either an understanding, an accurate understanding of it, or not an accurate understanding of said information, and then we're going to act. Okay, so the bottom level is known as knowledge. And I put in parentheses on that block, okay, that tier of this 4-part structure. Underneath it, it's knowledge or lack thereof. So it's knowledge or ignorance. Either we are aggregating that information, taking it into ourselves, and then processing it, or we're not doing that. Okay? If we do that, we can arrive at knowledge. If we don't do that, we're remaining in ignorance, the lack of knowledge. Okay? Above that, we go up to another level of the creative process, of how we're creating the shared reality we all experience together. in the aggregate, how humanity does this. We take in that knowledge and then we do something with it. We're processing it. We're processing that information, okay? If we've taken it in, we move to this step number 2. So decision-making processes are being made based upon the available information that we've taken in. The processes, these decision-making processes, take place in the human mind. They take place in our mind, depending on how we're taking in that information and then filtering it. And the decisions that we make based upon that filtration process, okay, is going to be chosen. It's going to be different, and it's going to be chosen by each individual based on how well they've taken in the available information. So if a person has knowledge, they've taken in information, they're going to be able to work with it and then arrive at an understanding of it, if that knowledge is present and they're willing to take it into themselves. After they arrive at an understanding, okay, and again, I put understanding or lack thereof. That's if we've done these filtration processes with that information, we come to an understanding, and then we do something with it. And I'll pick that up on the other side of this break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
I am the world.
All of times have come. Here, but now they're gone. Seasons don't fear the reaper, nor do the wind, the sun, or the rain. Be like they are. Come on, baby.
Welcome back, everyone.
Take my hand.
You're listening to What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. In the last segment, we were talking about how we, in the aggregate as a species, co-create the shared reality that we all experience. So we were talking about this being a 4-step process, or you could look at it as a 3-step process with then a result, a generated result. So step number 1 was gathering available information and taking it into yourself and either arriving at knowledge or not. And then that was going through decision-making processes that take place within the mind to arrive at an accurate understanding of what it means, what the knowledge you've just taken in means, the pattern, okay, the meaning. And those processes, of course, are a filtration process. It's a system of processing that needs to be done, okay, by working with that knowledge, working with that available information. Then when we come either to an understanding of it, an accurate understanding of it, or an inaccurate understanding of it, we're basing our behavior upon that understanding. So that's what's the third level that's being built on top of that understanding or lack thereof. Okay, remember, each one of these steps or building blocks has its negation, its opposite. So the lack of knowledge is ignorance. The lack of understanding is confusion. All right, it's not understanding what's going on. And then behavior results. We're then taking action based on our understanding or our state of confusion. And each individual's behavior, invariably, logically, is going to be based upon the quality of their decision-making processes that they took in the previous step. And in turn, those decision-making processes are based upon the quality of the available information that they've taken into themselves or have not. Okay, so then the human behavior component of this creation process is going to be either wise or it is going to be unwise. We are going to display wisdom or folly as a result. And then something is going to happen in the external world. As a result of all of the behaviors that take place, that humanity enacts into the world, we're going to get a result, a generated result, or a condition. Will that condition be good? Will it be bad? Will it be orderly? Will it be chaotic? Okay? That's going to be dependent on, did we take in the available information? Did we process it and come to an accurate understanding of it? And then did we act wisely upon that understanding? Okay? So it's about a 3-step process. And then the manifested reality or the generated result, the quality of the shared condition that we all experience that manifests in the world, in any society on Earth or on the whole planet, is going to be based upon the aggregate quality of the behavioral output of the people of that given society. It's an inescapable and purely logical conclusion. The conditions that manifest in a society are a result of the behavior of the people of that society. As above, so below. That's the law of correspondence. That's how we create our reality in the aggregate. We don't create it as an individual. Okay, I don't create the total conditions. Okay, this is what the New Agers want to sell people. Oh, we're making up the world in our minds. It's all how the individual thinks. We're creating our reality individually. No, it doesn't work like that. The laws of attraction do not work like that. In the aggregate, as a whole, the whole society, the whole species is creating the shared conditions together by their combined behavioral output. Now, how do the controllers of our reality control what happens, the outcome? They're currently in control of the outcome. Many people don't want to believe that they are, but I'm telling you, they are accurately and like a person riding on a horse with the reins in their hand, steering the outcome. They are in control of that outcome because they're doing one thing. See, if you were of a mindset to try to control reality, you're not going to control the present moment, okay? The present moment is what has already manifested, okay? So to control it, you have to try to control a future moment. To control the present, you have to control what we would call the past. You had to have already been in control in the past by directing and steering things. Then you're going to come into control at a future moment. Okay, so the manifested reality is what is. It's what is happening. You're not controlling anything from that level. Okay, you can currently be in control, but you're not going to seize control in the instant at that level of manifestation. Okay, I hope people grasp what I'm saying there. Underneath that, you could try to control it from the behavioral point of view. Direct control over human behavior, meaning you're going to have to go to each person and physically control them. This is called the process of overt control. Okay? In your face, seen physical control techniques and tactics. When people see that, they rebel against it because they don't want to live their life as a slave. So they're going to naturally rebel against trying to control reality from the level of human behavior itself, physically. You wouldn't do it from there. Well, the next level down, you could try to control it from the mind and people's decision-making processes. But that would mean you're really doing it based on kind of like what I'm trying to do today. Change people's mind by talking to them and getting them to reverse their decision-making processes by taking a new information into themselves. It's a difficult way to control things or to change things, okay? Because you're only affecting it from that second level, and if people have already taken in certain information, as people will readily recognize who know what I'm talking about, when you try to help other people to change and to understand that they have been wrong about something, that knowledge that they've already taken in actually acts as a deficit. Okay, it acts as a countermeasure to change because that person already has taken in knowledge that is to the contrary of what you're trying to explain, and they're attached to it. Now, again, it's not true knowledge. It's what they think of as knowledge. It's what I have called negative knowledge. It's really a falsity that someone believes in and is attached to and clinging on to. And since they believe it's real, it's like trying to put information in the form of, like if we use an allegory of trying to fill up a cup that's already full to the brim, you can't. You have to take matter in the form of liquid out of that cup before you can put anything new into it. And this unfortunately makes it very difficult to affect or steer or change things from the level of someone's decision-making processes only. Where reality is changed from, or in the instance of a controller is controlled from, is at the base level of available information. So if we put out new available information and make that widely and openly available to people, they could then begin the processing of that information, and that may change their behavior, which then may change the outcome, the manifested reality. Well, what if you didn't put out certain information? This is how the control system works. They're cutting people off from the availability of certain information, or just putting nonsensical information that has nothing to do with really crucial and critical information that people do need to take in to understand what's going on. They're putting this nonsense out there, and they're dissuading people from looking into the real information that they need to understand. And this information technically is still available. It is out there. It is available. It's not that it's unavailable, okay? We're living in what I call an ignorant society, or an ignorant society. The information I'm talking about that could lead to knowledge, this available information, is present, but people are willfully ignoring it. They're willfully ignoring it because they've fallen prey to many mind control techniques, because they're stunted in their emotional and psychological development. We're going to talk about that later. And because they've been dissuaded through media and through the powers that be not to look into certain areas, certain vistas of information. So if you're of the mindset to try to control people and control reality, you're always going to control it from that level, that baseline level of what information is available and has been put out there to people. We'll pick this up on the other side of this break. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to What on Earth is Happening here on Republic Broadcasting. We'll be right back.
Full of singing.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening here on Republic Broadcasting. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. In the last segment, we were talking about how reality is both built, how it is created in the aggregate, and how it is controlled by the controllers of this world through the availability of information that is put out there. And then it's also done through dissuading people from taking in that information, not even just hiding it or withholding it. So one of the things that I talk about continuously on this radio show and on my former podcast is the occult. Okay, and people may be shocked to hear that that's what I really get into and discuss in depth. But that word frightens many people directly. It's a mind control technique in and of itself to obfuscate the real meaning of words. So when people hear the word occult, many people immediately think bad, evil, voodoo, witchcraft, etc. All kinds of imagery is conjured in their mind, and that in itself is a mind control technique. Now, I am not trying to tell you that there isn't a dark side to the occult, because there most certainly is, and I was directly involved with that side of it in my past. Okay, you can get that background on former podcasts and other radio interviews that I've done on my website. But what is the occult itself? What is it for real? Really, not the colloquially derived meaning that people think it means. Okay, in everyday speech. But what is the occult? When I am saying the occult, what do I mean by this? What is the actual definition of the occult as I am using it? Okay, so first let's look at the meaning of the word. The word occult is derived from the Latin adjective occultus. Occultus in Latin means hidden. Okay, and this word hidden, or occultus in Latin, comes from the Latin verb occultare. Occultare means to hide, to conceal, or to keep secret. Okay, that's all it means. Now, these words, occultus and occultare in Latin, are actually derived in turn from the Latin noun oculus. Oculus in Latin means eye. So related to the vision, hard to see, hidden from sight, is what occult really means. Ocular would mean related to vision. And then occult means hidden from the eye, hidden from sight. Okay? concealed, veiled, not easily seen. All right? Now, what it really is hidden knowledge. It's knowledge that has been hidden from humanity, or again, not necessarily even hidden, but humanity is dissuaded from ever looking into it. And the technique of mind control works by telling people, don't ever look into that, that's all bad, it's all evil, nothing good can happen from you looking into it. And that's how they keep people in ignorance of what's really going on, both within them and around them. Occult knowledge is knowledge about two very important areas of inquiry, or bodies of knowledge, which we're going to get into in a moment, that is held by very few people in the world. And unfortunately, because it's only held by a few people, they have been using that knowledge as a power differential to keep other people in the dark by way of their knowledge and other people's ignorance. So I put this down on slide number 10 in the form of an image of a pyramidal structure. Okay, with the wide base representing the ignorant masses of humanity, and the very peak of that four-sided pyramid representing the people who are in the know, the knowledge that is held by the very few to keep people in control, under their control. So let's look at, on the next slide, slide number 11, what knowledge are we talking about? When I say occultism or the occult is hidden knowledge, what do I mean? What knowledge does occultism comprise, and what knowledge does it hide from others? So occultism comprises and hides two main bodies of knowledge. The first is called the minor body of knowledge, okay, or the minor arcana. Arcana is a Latin word that just means knowledge, okay? The minor body of knowledge. This is sometimes called the lesser arcana as well. And I've put minor and lesser in quotation marks, in double quotes here, because you should not look at them as less than something else. That's not what it's referring to. Okay, the term minor arcana or lesser arcana doesn't mean it's less important or it's of less significance. It means that it is the knowledge of the small world, the small things. That's what they mean by minor or lesser, not as large as. Okay, talking about the small components of something. All right, it's the knowledge about the microcosmic world, or the inner world of the individual. This is about the psyche, the human psyche, the knowledge of the self, the knowledge of the human psyche and how the human mind operates, our deep-seated motivations and fears, etc. All of the knowledge of the human mind. It is deep, ancient psychology. That's what we have to understand about the first body of knowledge that the occult is actually about. And I'm not telling you this is I want to make this clear. This is not my opinion or my thoughts on what the occult is. It's what it actually is. I'm telling you not from book knowledge, from hearing about it, from talking to people about it, from reading about it. I'm telling you from first-hand experience of being involved with the occult and schools of occultism, that this is the first body of knowledge. These are the two bodies of knowledge that comprise occultism. The first of which is the microcosmic knowledge, the knowledge of the self and the human psyche and how it operates. The second body of knowledge in occultism is known as the major or greater arcana. Again, the major or greater knowledge. This is, again, not more important than or more significant than the minor or lesser arcana. Should not be seen that way. Okay? This is the macrocosmic knowledge, the knowledge of the very large things. The outer world, in other words. I put outer in quotes even because, of course, the outer world is determined by the inner world. Again, the conditions of the mind generate the conditions of the world. All right? So the world, or the knowledge of the macrocosm, that's the second arcana, the second body of knowledge that occultism is actually about. This is the knowledge of natural law. You're going to hear a lot about this term. The universal moral laws that govern the consequences of behavior of intelligent beings. That's what I'm talking about when I say natural law. This is the first part of the greater arcana. And then the second part of it is the physical sciences, what we would call modern science, what we would call, not necessarily modern science, but what we would call science, the physical sciences, the sciences about the interaction of matter in the physical three-dimensional realm. Okay? The physical sciences comprise that macrocosmic knowledge as well. And much of that is hidden from public consumption to control people as well. We're not getting real science, we're getting scientism from the controlled paradigm of science that is directed by the control system and the monetary system. So slide number 12, I talk about why is this knowledge, the knowledge of the self and the human psyche, combined with the knowledge of the way natural law, or in other words, spiritual law, and the physical laws of the 3D world, the world of matter, the material realm, work. Why would that knowledge be occulted? Why would anyone want to hold that seemingly very, very important knowledge back from other people? Well, the answer is such knowledge has been deliberately hidden in order to create and maintain a power differential between those who hold that knowledge and those who are ignorant of it. So what better way to keep people in ignorance of that knowledge by giving it a scary term and saying you should never look at that? And that's where most people are at when it comes to the occult. They have not even begun studying any of it because they think it's all bad and no one should ever take it into themselves and understand what it is all about. And therefore, the very tactics and techniques of the dark side of the occult are being waged against them in their ignorance to keep them in a prison. That's how it works. That's how dark occultism works, because people won't look at these bodies of knowledge and understand them. So the major part of this that I have talked about extensively and will continue to talk about is natural law. Now let me tell you what natural law is not. And I'm on slide number 13 now. It's called Got Natural Law, meaning do you have a grasp of it? Do you really deeply understand it? Have you taken it in and integrated it into yourself? An understanding of natural law. All right? What it's not is it's not what people call the natural, quote, order, which has nothing to do with order, okay? All right? This is a Darwinian paradigm of survival of the fittest and dog eat dog. This is what people have erroneously termed the, quote, natural, and I should say it's not natural, it's an artificially imposed worldview, okay, that has nothing to do with nature, and it's not order. Okay, it actually can't lead to order, the worldview of macrobiological Darwinian survival of the fittest and of the most ruthless, and of the animal with the sharpest teeth and biggest claws and most ruthless disposition comes out on top and rules the roost. Okay, that can only lead to chaos. It cannot ever lead to order. So the quote-unquote Darwinian natural order is actually the artificially imposed system of chaos that we are living in. All right, so I'll explain what natural law is on the other side of this break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks.
You can run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Very appropriate bumper music for coming back into this break when I'm about to get into what natural law really is. And this is kind of a review for new listeners to what on earth is happening. Of course, I'm sorry. It's a review for it's old information that I put out there to the old listeners. This little review that I'm doing here is, of course, for new listeners to the show to give them a feel and a flavor for what this radio show is really all about. So, I was talking about what natural law was not. It is not the Darwinian paradigm that people call the natural order. That is not natural, and it's not order. It's an artificially imposed system of chaos by trying to apply the animalistic kingdom to the human world. Okay, so natural law is something completely different than that, and it is also completely different from what many political writers and theorists have termed natural law. It is not John Locke's theory of natural law. It is not anybody other political writers or anybody trying to equate a system of man's law to what they call natural law. I'm not talking about that. These are laws of nature that are in place, that are put into place by the creator of the universe, having absolutely nothing to do with the belief of man. Okay? These are laws which can only be discovered. It has nothing to do with a belief system. It has nothing to do with a construct that is invented in the mind of a man and then written down. Okay? These are laws that exist independently of man's perception of them, like gravity, like electromagnetism. They are physical laws. They are deterministic laws which actually determine what happens in the physical domain based upon behavior that is chosen through free will. And that's how the dynamic of free will plays with natural law. Okay, it plays off against it. So what is natural law? This is my working definition for natural law. Natural law, as I am referring to the term, again, not what other writers have referred to it, not what other people think of it as, how I use this umbrella term, natural law, in my work, the work that I put out there. When I say that term, this is what I mean by it. Natural law is the body of universal, non-man-made, binding and immutable laws which act as the governing dynamics for the consequences of human behavior. So universal means everywhere present, no matter where you go in the universe, at all times and places. Non-man-made, just what it says, not made by humanity, not made by humankind. Okay, put into effect by the creator of the universe. Whatever you happen to look at that force or being as, that's not my business, that's your business. Okay? And they are binding, meaning they have an effect whether you understand them or not, like that they're an effect or not, just like gravity. Okay? And they're immutable. They can't be changed by anything man does. They're in effect. Certain things man does can shield them temporarily from their consequences. But hey, as Johnny just said, you can run on for a long time, but sooner or later, God will cut you down. Okay? You're not going to shield yourself from these effects forever. Just like we can temporarily mitigate the effects of gravity through flight, through understanding, thrust and lift, and having fuel and a piece of technology, and temporarily negating the effects of gravity due to flight. But you're not going to stay up there forever. Okay, so it's the same thing when it comes to people trying to break natural law. There are immutable laws that are always in effect, whether they can be bent or temporarily, quote, broken. They're not really broken. Okay. So they're immutable, they cannot be changed, and they act as the governing dynamics for the consequences of human behavior. Meaning, based on our free will decisions of whether we make moral or immoral decisions, the universe gives us certain results. And then we have to live with those results. That's what natural law ultimately is. What does it mean, moving on to slide number 14, and again, these slides, these images that I'm talking about can be seen at whatonearthishappening.com/radio. whatonearthishappening.com/radio. That's the radio show page for this show on my website. Underneath the player, you'll see images for today's show while the show is broadcast live. If you're not listening to it live, then this is show number 145 in the podcast section. What does it mean to understand natural law? Slide number 14. Understanding natural law means truly having and possessing conscience. Conscience is the definitive knowledge of the objective difference between morally right behavior and morally wrong behavior. That's what conscience is. Okay? So it's knowledge. It's common sense knowledge, common knowledge. The actual difference, the definitive difference between morally right behavior and morally wrong behavior. That is what constitutes conscience. And understanding natural law means that you definitively have conscience because you definitively know the difference between right and wrong behavior. What does it mean, moving on to slide number 15, to act in accordance with natural law? Acting in accordance with natural law means exercising conscience, taking action based upon that knowledge that you have taken into yourself and understood. Okay? Or in other words, exercising conscience means willfully choosing morally right behavior over morally wrong behavior once that difference has been clearly understood by the person who has taken in the knowledge of conscience. Okay? That's what it means to exercise conscience, to willfully choose the right over the wrong. Now, we get the result. You'll notice that this is about knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. That's what I just described in the last 3 slides. What is natural law? The knowledge of it. What does it mean to understand it? And what does it mean to act in accordance with it? In other words, act wisely. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Just like I described on the other slide. This is actually the trivium process for people who recognize that that's what it is. Okay, the threefold methodology for truth discovery. All right. So then we get the result. This is the fourth stage. Okay, or it's just the manifested result that we get as a result of how well did we employ those other three stages of creation. All right. So what is the result? This is slide number 16 now. What is the result we get when we live in accordance with natural law? And then on the next slide, we'll talk about what do we get when we live in opposition to natural law. When we live in accordance with natural law, when human beings live in accordance with natural law, and they are therefore moral beings, they have taken the knowledge of conscience into themselves, understood it, and acted upon it, and chosen willfully the right action over the wrong action. So they're moral beings. When they do that, that's what living in accordance with natural law is, human beings become and remain free, and their society exists in a state of order. That's what generates freedom and order, which is what we say we want. But we're not getting because we don't understand natural law. Okay? We don't understand the laws of morality. So that's what human beings get when they act in accordance with natural law. They become and remain free, and their society exists in a state of order. Conversely, in slide number 17, I explained that when human beings live in opposition to natural law, and therefore they are immoral beings, they are not choosing the right over the wrong, okay? Certainly not willfully. They might accidentally do that in their ignorance, but most of the time they're choosing the wrong action over the right. So therefore they're immoral beings. That's what living in opposition to natural law means. When we live in opposition to natural law, we become and remain enslaved, and our society exists in a state of chaos. Which, surprise, surprise, that's where we're at now. That's the current human condition. Enslaved and in a state of chaos. You know, the systems of control that we have in place don't prevent chaos. They are chaos, ladies and gentlemen. They are enslavement and chaos. They don't prevent them, as people erroneously believe in their mind-controlled state. The next slide explains slide number 18 explains what I call the one true divide in humanity between statists and anarchists. All the other things that seemingly separate humanity, race, religion, class, income, style of dress, culture, you name it, age, okay? All of these things, they're illusions. They're things that are just there as a divide and conquer strategy by the, controllers to keep people warring with each other and fighting amongst each other. But there is one non-illusory difference and separation and divide that really does in reality exist between human beings. And this is the dynamic of whether you believe in authority or not. And that's what a statist is. Someone who believes in authority and therefore supports slavery, supports human slavery. A statist is a person not just that believes in government, but that supports human slavery because that's what government is. That's what the concept of authority is. Conversely, an anarchist, someone who doesn't believe in the rightful rule of some people over other people, opposes the dynamic of human slavery. So I'll pick up with this distinction on the other side of the break, and then we can go to your calls in the next hour. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening? Here on Republic Broadcasting. We'll be right back.
I am legion, strength in numbers, and now
everyone. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening here on Republic Broadcasting. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. It's great to be here on the network. This is the debut show on the network, but it's show number 145 on my entire radio career, I guess you could say. I'm doing a brief review for new listeners to the show of the generals of material that I've covered in the past. What I'm going to do is cover a few more slides. These slides are actually at my website, whatonearthishappening.com, on the radio show page. It's actually whatonearthishappening.com/radio. And it's underneath the player, images for tonight's show. Of course, these images will also be posted with the podcast. I'm going to finish up a few more slides and then go to the phones. The call-in number for tonight's show is 800-313-9443. Once again, the call-in number, 800-313-9443. Call in. No topic is taboo. Ask anything you like about my work. Or anything else you want to bring up. So I'm just going to finish a few more slides. I've planned on 33 slides for this evening, but I'm only going to try to run through slides up to slide number 22, and I'll leave slides 23 through 33 for another show. Probably the show 2 weeks from now, because next week I will have a very special guest, satanic ritual abuse survivor, Mr. Jay Parker will be my guest next week. So let's pick up where we left off at slide number 18, the one true divide. There's this concept that there's only one real true divide that separates humanity into two distinct types of individuals. The criterion for this divide is whether or not an individual believes in the concept of authority, the erroneous concept of authority, and therefore believes that there is legitimacy to slavery. Because that's what the belief in authority is. If you believe that some people are authorities over other individuals, then you are a supporter of slavery, and I don't care if that offends you or how much it offends you. That is the truth. That is the eternal truth, and it doesn't make a difference whether you don't want to hear it. That is what you believe in. You believe in slavery if you believe in authority. The end. That is how it actually is. That's not my opinion. That's how it really is. Okay, so many people won't come out there and just say something like that. They'll want to dance around it, or try to dance around somebody's delicate sensibilities when it comes to that, because they don't want to lose listeners or whatever. Once again, I'm not here to be popular. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to tell the hard truth about what's going on this planet. That is what my spiritual mission is to accomplish here. And I am doing it unapologetically. So if you're offended, get as offended as you like. Okay? Next slide. Well, just one more note on this slide. I put these two memes over here, one representing a statist, one representing an anarchist. The statist is a policeman, who essentially every single one of them doing that job continues to support the idea of slavery and authority, okay, and believe that they are an authority over others. This meme says that statism is the brilliant idea that we give a small group of people the right to kidnap, imprison, harass, steal from, and kill people so that we can be protected from people who kidnap, harass, steal from, and kill people. It's so brilliant. I mean, can't you just tell how well it's worked out, folks? Having a standing army live among us in the form of a police force throughout this country, a militarized police force. It's so great and getting better all the time. Let me tell you, this idea has just produced nothing but majestic order, goodness, and freedom everywhere we turn, has it not? Okay? And then the meme that I put up there for an anarchist while searching for images, a good image for an anarchist, I didn't want to be totally conceitful and just put myself up there, or me and some of my friends who are really know the truth that there's no such thing as authority. I could have put myself, I could have put somebody like Larkin Rose up there, or any other number of people who truly do not understand that authority is an illusion produced by a diseased mind. But I found this meme online. I think I found it on Facebook, and it said, "I'm an anarchist, but most of my followers are statists," and it has a picture of Christ on the image. Now, again, I don't want people writing to me telling me about astrotheology because I know all about it. I could write books on astrotheology. I get it. I understand it. I know what religion is. I know how religion is astrotheology in disguise. And I'm not putting it up here to tell you to believe in the historicity and the actual figure of Jesus. Okay? I'm saying that the message is what is important, and what Jesus was an anarchist, whether anybody really understands it or not. Even the archetypal figure, if you don't want to believe in it as an actual historical being. Okay, the teachings of that being that are propagated and put down in the New Testament are anarchist at their heart. It's about having only one authority, and that is the authority of the law of God, period. The moral law that is put forward by the creator of the universe. That is the only authority I bend the knee to. Okay, that is the only authority that I respect and live according to and obey. That's it. The authority of man is an illusion. It does not exist in the real world. Okay, in nature, it does not exist. So this is I found this to be a great meme, very poignant. And what it really is the person on the left there supports slavery, and the person on the right there opposes slavery. That's what we really need to call this. Forget even the term statist and anarchist. There are only really supporters of slavery and opposers of slavery. That's it. They're the only two kinds of people on this planet. And I, for one, oppose slavery in all of its forms. All of its forms. And that doesn't mean just shackle and chain slavery that is overt and can be seen. That means mental slavery, mental bondage, financial bondage and slavery, debt slavery. Okay? The idea that authority is legitimate and so we have to have government. That's slavery. All right? So I'm explaining this in the next 4 slides, and I'll wrap it up there, okay? The old world order was a form of slavery that worked according to the concept of vesting authority in one person, in one being. He was the king or the priest, or a combination of the two, a priest-king of some sort. This old world order system reigned in the ancient world, and it was a system that is based entirely in violence. The belief in authority vested in one is based entirely in violence, and it is built upon the erroneous, which means false, okay, and dogmatic belief system, which is a religion, that one person is the master who possesses the moral, quote, right to issue commands to other people, and all others are his subjects or slaves who have the moral obligation to obey his commands. That is what the old world order was here on earth. Authority vested in one being and ruling over everybody by divine right. Okay? Now, what I try to explain to people is we need to stop even euphemizing. Okay? Stop euphemizing and even calling this authority, calling this government, calling this rulership. This is slavery, as I've put there on slide number 20. Okay? That's the real term for it. Let's start calling it what it really is, unapologetically and openly to other people, regardless of what they think of us for saying it. This was slavery. Now, what has changed is my question. Has this changed dramatically? Or are we still in the old world order? Well, in slide 21, I explained what people term the new world order. And I put new in quotes and order in quotes. Just like I did on the last 2 slides, I actually had order in double quotes. Okay? It's not order, it's chaos. Slavery is chaos, folks. There's nothing orderly about it. There's nothing good, orderly, peaceful, leading to freedom. Slavery is chaos because it creates disorder, disharmony, enslavement, the lack of freedom. All right? It's chaos. It has nothing to do with order. That's what they call it. It's their order. It's the sick, psychopathic control freaks brand of order that thinks they're a master of other beings, of other people. The new world order that I depict here on slide 21 is exactly the same. The quote new. It's nothing's new about it. It's old. It's the same system with a new name. And it's no order. It's chaos. This is the concept of authority vested in few people. We've just divested that authority into a few people. And we've created a government. It has all the same divinely appointed rights as the king of the old world, but we just euphemize it and call it government. We'll pick this up on the other side. Stay with us. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening.
Sweet
Welcome back, folks. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening. Coming at you tonight with some hard-hitting, streetwise spirituality, as I like to call it. I'm going to wrap up with the last two slides. We were talking about the difference between the old world order, the system of slavery of the old world, and how that contrasts or compares with the new world order. And again, I put new in quotes and order in quotes. There's nothing new about this system of enslavement, and it certainly doesn't lead to anything that is orderly. Okay? This is the concept, the New World Order is the concept of authority vested in few. I'm picking up on slide 21 here. This system is also based entirely in violence and built upon the erroneous and dogmatic belief that a certain group of people are masters who possess the moral right to issue commands. Those people are called governments. Okay, their commands that they issue are called laws, while all others are their subjects who have the moral obligation to obey the commands issued by their masters. That is what government is. That's not my opinion of what government is. That's what it actually is if we're being honest with ourselves, which most people I recognize are not. They lie to themselves from the minute they wake up until the minute they fall asleep. Okay? But if we're being honest with ourselves, that's what all forms of government are and have ever been. All right? And what we really have to do is stop euphemizing this New World Order, stop euphemizing it and calling it government, stop euphemizing it and calling it one world government. It's called slavery. It's called the enslavement of humanity. That's what it's called, if we're being honest with ourselves, as I like to do whenever I can, and as I've written it there on slide number 22. Part of the problem here is most people won't just come out and say it that way. They don't have the courage to say it that way. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to say it that way. I'm telling you, the old world order was slavery, and so is the new world order. It's a system of slavery, and if you believe in government, you support that system of slavery, because that's all government ever has been, is now, and ever will be. And if you're offended by that statement, get as offended as you like. That's my spiel for tonight. That is my review of information that I have covered in the past and serves as the basis for what I do here on What on Earth is Happening. In 2 weeks, I will pick up on slide 23 moving forward with the concept of why is this the current human condition? Why are we trapped in slavery? What is going on in the psychology of human beings that keeps this dynamic in place the way it is? And we're going to deeply explore what I call the tree of all evil, the psychological framework that has led to the current human condition, and I'll just leave it at that as a teaser. Let's go to the phones. Ivan in Phoenix, you're live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome, my friend.
How you doing, Mark?
Ivan.
Good to have you on the air again.
It's a pleasure to hear from you, man. You're the first caller on the new incarnation of the show. So what do you have for us here tonight?
Well, thanks for mentioning the screening of your seminar that I'm holding this weekend. It would have been good to have that announced earlier, because as always, in our conversations, we always talk about the people who say they are in the know, and then the actual people that come out and do things. So even though I sent out flyers and Facebook notifications and announced it on several meetup groups that had about 500 members, the turnout is always kind of depressing, just under 10 people showing up to these things. So, but then again, that goes to show why things are the way they are and why things don't change.
That's absolutely right. I mean, it really all is about taking action, getting involved, partnering, not necessarily becoming part of a group, but partnering with other people and sharing ideas, and then getting out there and actually taking real world action to spread the philosophy of freedom to other people, to help them to understand what's really going on, to help them to understand how bad things are actually right now and what we can do to get our own minds freed up, and then start helping other people to free up their minds to make this a better place, to make this world better so that it's going to be worth living in for people who come after us. So that Ivan, while that saddens me, I'm not going to tell you I'm horribly surprised by that. I mean, when we do documentary screenings here in Philadelphia on topics related to human freedom and consciousness and mind control, etc., we get about that number, maybe slightly more, maybe 12 to 15 sometimes show up, but the numbers are the same here. It seems like people just don't want to come out to gather for knowledge. You can get 100, you can get 1,000 people to come out to party and just drink beer and, eat what you bring a bunch of food out. People just come out of the woodwork, You barely have to announce it. But tell them to come out and improve their mind, understand about what's really going on in the world, understand the causal factors of the conditions we're experiencing. Oh, I don't have time for that. That's too much work. You're asking me to think now, Ivan. I mean, come on. Asking someone else to think and take an interest and care about what's taking place in their world, that's a big investment right there. You're asking for, the real spiritual currencies here of time and attention. And most of all, you're asking for people to care, and people think things are going to change without that type of an investment and without truly deeply caring about this. And it's sad but true. And like I said, while that does somewhat sadden me, I wouldn't let it get you down. I would keep going and doing what you're doing. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm never giving up. I'm never saying die,
I look at it as shaking the tree and seeing what actually falls out, the true ones that come out, And last week I had a meetup to get together at the movies and watch the new film, The Lego Movie. I saw that about 2 weeks ago. And
I've heard about this. Tell me a little bit about it, because I've heard good things about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Well, all right. Yeah, I saw it just with my girlfriend. She likes, some of the car animated stuff, so I went with her to see it. So I'm just there, and within the first 5 minutes, my, ears are perking up and my eyes are like, wow, the allegories and the metaphors that are being dropped left and right in this cartoon, it paralleled the Matrix, basically. So I was in awe. I was like, wow. And it's pretty much everything you cover and all the stuff that actual free thinkers and truth seekers or people that are in the know will pick up on it. Now, the thing that bothered my mind was, when I held the meetup, again, only had about 3 or 4 RSVPs from the meetup groups, but yet the auditorium was full of, with your regular movie-going audience. And I was wondering how many of these people actually pick up on the metaphors or the allegories that are being dropped in there. Everything from the villain is called President Business. So right there it's telling you the presidents, the leaders of governments are the corporations, the businesses. So that went over people's heads.
Right.
They had, surveillance cameras all over the place. I'm watching you. That was right there over people's heads. They had the president say, he's on a commercial talking this, that, and blurs in a line, we'll put you to sleep, and keeps talking, and then they... the star of the movie says, hey, wait a minute, did he just say? And they cut to a commercial of a silly TV show called Where Are My Pants?
Wow.
And then the guy just starts laughing. He starts laughing, and then he comes back, wait, what was I thinking? Doesn't matter. So right there, showing people the important things are right in your face, but here's entertainment to distract you. All these little things, were scattered all over the place in this film, and I was like,
amazing.
Wow, I wonder how many people pick up on these things.
It sounds like It sounds like a really great allegory, especially for children. While I would agree with you, definitely a lot of allegorical films go over people's heads and they're not bringing them to a conscious level to understand what the maker intended to say as a moral lesson. Don't underestimate the power of allegory to reach a person's subconscious mind and to get in there and plant a seed at the subconscious level. We're going to be talking a lot about the subconscious mind in a couple of weeks on the show. So, Ivan, I want to thank you so much for the call. I'm going to have to check out that movie myself, and we'll be right back, folks. Stay with us. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening.
I know you deceived me, now here's a surprise. I know that you have, 'cause there's magic in my eyes. I can see for miles and miles and miles and miles
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening here on Republic Broadcasting. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. The call-in number to join us for the last couple of segments of the show is 800-313-9443. Once again, the call-in number, 800-313-9443. Let's go to Dan in Los Angeles. Dan, what do you have for us tonight?
Mark, I had a question and then a comment, if that's okay.
Sure, go right ahead.
And my question goes right along with what you've been talking about with moral relativism. And I learned the word nescience from your natural law seminar.
Yes.
And I'm really glad I learned that word, comparing that to ignorance and the distinction between those two. And my question is kind of more on the philosophical side, which I've been kind of wrestling with in my meditations for this moral relativism, ignorance, and nescience. And my question is if someone or a group of people is nescient when it comes to knowledge and information, or, you know, this huge one of good versus bad, right and wrong, can one be blamed or held responsible for being nescient? And from what I've come to understand, please correct me, with your description of nescience, is completely absent-minded to the point of zero knowledge or gnosis of knowing something.
I would like to correct that perception of the word nescience. That's actually not what the word nescience means. Maybe I should clarify this for both you and the listening audience. Nescience means that the information that you are currently not knowledgeable of is not present in the sense that you are not able to understand it. So let's say that how to build a nuclear reactor. There is such information in the world, okay? Most people are ignorant of it, but they're not nescient of it because it can be known how to do that. It can be discovered. The knowledge exists. People can come to know how to do that because we are doing it. The knowledge of that does exist. Let's say a cataclysm swept over the earth and not only did every single nuclear reactor was destroyed and was not able to be ever put back together. They were completely annihilated. But every single book and piece of information on the face of the earth having to do with the building of a nuclear reactor, or even the premise on how they work, were also destroyed. The pockets of survivors could then be said to be nescient of how to build a nuclear reactor. They're not ignorant of it because the knowledge is gone. It's not present in their environment. So when I say that our society is not nescient coming from the Latin nesciere, the Latin verb nesciere means to not know because knowledge is not present. Okay? Ignorance comes from the Latin verb ignorare, which means that you don't know because you are deliberately willfully turning aside your attention from knowledge that is present. So ignoring someone in a room means you're aware of their presence, you're just refusing to acknowledge it. That's what ignorance is. So these people would not be, these survivors of said Holocaust would not be ignorant of how to build a nuclear reactor. They would be nescient because the knowledge had been destroyed. Okay? When we're talking about the knowledge of right and wrong, is it destroyed and gone from the earth? No, it's here. It's all around us. We're drowning in it, as a matter of fact. We are drowning in knowledge about the difference between right and wrong. We are drowning in knowledge about real spirituality. We are drowning in knowledge about what's going on in our world all around us and taking us into police state measures and the destruction of human freedom. When people don't know any of these things, they're not nescient. This knowledge is here. Like I say in the natural law presentation, we're living in post-apocalyptic times. People say post-apocalypse, the apocalypse hasn't happened. Yes, it has. Because what the apocalypse means is the unveiling of hidden knowledge. Apocalypse doesn't mean cataclysm or destruction. That's a colloquially understood interpretation or a colloquial, derived connotation of the word apocalypse. Apocalypse comes from Greek, apo meaning off of or away from, and kalyptine meaning to hide or to conceal. So to go away from veiling or concealing, to unveil something, to reveal it for what it really is what the apocalypse is. There's tons of researchers and tons of people speaking the truth and revealing what's going on, and expressing to people the hidden things that have been hidden from our sight, and talking about them out in the open. We're living in post-apocalypse. The apocalypse has happened, and you know what people have said to the truth and to all that knowledge and information? I don't want it. I want to ignore it. I don't care if it's present. I refuse to look at it. I refuse to take it in. That's where most people are at. Not all, but that's where most people are at. They're in ignorance, deliberately refusing to look at truth. They're not in nescience. The people of Earth cannot be said to be in nescience. This knowledge is here, it is present, it is available at their fingertips, and it is actually everywhere around them. They want to ignore it deliberately. And we're going to talk about why they want to do that in 2 weeks. We might talk about it a little next week too, but I'll get into it in a big way in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you for that. And I also just wanted to say my comment, which goes right along with this whole New Age religion, which is something I've done a lot of research in the last 5 to 7 years. And one thing that I wanted to bring up as also maybe a potential suggestion for your research and exposing something critical in the New Age is this complete and literal deity worship of these Indian spiritual gurus that are literally, in all encompassing of that word, gathering hundreds of thousands of people around the world worshiping these people that set themselves up as, and I'm literally quoting you, unquote, like avatars, right, deities incarnate. And I live in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is, I could really honestly say, one of the meccas of this whole New Age and dieting of all types and yoga and not that there's only bad things going on with that. There's tons of good things, but I live in one of the heartlands of it, and I can see it because I see it all the time. This guru worship, and I have seen in front of my eyes this occult magic being performed on these people walking around with big eyes, all glary and zombied out. And they come to these centers, they come to these hotels, and hundreds of, by the boatloads of people coming there, getting blessed by them, completely getting put in a trance. Who knows what is going on? Tons of occult magic. I mean, all about dark occultism going on with this stuff. And I mean, these people are so wicked.
Dan, this is just another form of mind control that is being perpetuated on the masses. And people who don't want their own personal responsibility, they don't want to own it, are so quick to give their sovereignty away to someone else and say, this is my guru, here's who I'm going to go to for knowledge. I'm not going to seek it out on my own. This is what I've told people from day one. I'm not your guru, I'm not your leader, I'm not interested in being any of those things. You have to be your own leader. You have to be your own spiritual guru. You have to be your own priest. You have to forge your own connection with the divine force within you. You have to forge your own connection with the will of the universe. That's not my work to do for you. That's your work to do for you. And anybody that's telling you different is lying to you, or they're trying to deceive you and control you, which is what many of these so-called gurus are doing. And you know what, Dan, I want to thank you for your call. I'm just going to wrap up on this, and then we'll probably take another call. But there is a big thread throughout the New Age community, the New Age movement as well, with these gurus that you're speaking of, that they stress there is no need for knowledge. Everything can just be acquired and known by going to them or just meditating and looking inside the self. You know, it's the whole concept here is we don't need books. Nothing needs to be derived from books or sharing of information online or anything like that, or reading. Very, very, very dangerous premise and a very dangerous road to go down. We'll continue to take your calls in the last segment. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to What on Earth is Happening here on Republic Broadcasting. I'm your host, Mark Passio. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. This is the last segment of the debut show here on Republic Broadcasting Network. Great to be on the network. I hope we'll have some new listeners and some listeners that will maybe people who are brand new to my work will go to my podcast section and pick up and start the journey from the very beginning and move forward from there. So the call-in number, 800-313-9443. Let's continue to take some more calls. Ray in Oregon, you're live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. I'm enjoying what you're having to say very much. After many, many years of my own study on these things and along these lines, I didn't go seeking this stuff. It's just where, I guess, truth has taken me. But I feel like I'm finally starting to get a handhold on some of this stuff, and it sounds like you're ringing some bells for me. So I'm appreciating that very much. A couple things. I noticed you had a preponderance of Ronnie James Dio on your music there. Do you think he had something to tell us?
I love the guy. What can I say? I'm really sad to see that he's gone and not with us anymore. I consider him a sage in that whole genre. So
I liked him a lot too. Have you listened to more recent Chris Cornell or Maynard James Keenan?
Not so much. I'm mostly into old school stuff like that. As a preference.
Well, the other thing that I've heard you say, I heard you talk about, and I was just looking around on your website. This is the first time I've heard you, so you are news to me. I will go to your podcast and start looking at those. But I heard you say a couple things. Occult science was one of them, and another one, philosophy of freedom. Are you familiar with Rudolf Steiner?
Oh, of course, absolutely. Big-time Rosicrucian, wrote some of the best works in that whole area of occult science, so I highly recommend his work, as I do Max Heindel and other Rosicrucian authors. I've discussed that pretty extensively on some of my other radio interviews, and also went into Freemasonry quite extensively on my former podcast. So you can get into a lot of different occult schools of thought by going forth and listening to those old podcasts. I get into Kabbalah a lot on it as well. Tarot, I break down the major arcana of the tarot in some of my old podcasts. So all of that is there to be found up on my website and in my old podcasts.
Fantastic. Yeah, I really think talk about, he might be the most prolific man, if you count all his lectures and whatnot, maybe ever to have lived. To get into Steiner is, wow, what opening a door that never ends.
And he was trying to tell us what was really going on here and how to get out of it. He was one of the many people. This isn't anything new. I'm building upon others' work as well. The saying, "If I see farther, it is because I am standing upon the shoulders of giants," certainly applies here. There is nothing new under the sun. It's all been said. It's all been put out there before. I just have a slightly, unique way of aggregating it all and putting it together out there for people so that they can see it in a tapestry. That's what I feel my niche is when it comes to this information. So, do check out the work. I'm sure you'll be very surprised and happy with what you find there. And good luck with it all. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call in.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Thanks so much. We actually have a second Ray in Oregon. Amazing. 2 Rays in Oregon. Now let's go to the other Ray in Oregon.
Hi, Mark. This is Ray Karchevsky from Oregon, from Cave Junction.
Ray, a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your maiden voyage. You're unique. I wonder if your audience realizes how unique your message is. No one else on the internet is saying what you're saying, and you're doing it. The resonance of truth in your voice, your knowledge. It has a devastating effect upon conditioned minds. And I think John made a hell of a good decision in putting you on. I just hope that the audience listens to you without reacting, because they will react to you.
Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's going to happen, and I expect that. And all I can ask people to do is listen with an open mind and heart, and then research on their own. You know, it's the notion here that the sign of true intelligence is to be able to entertain a notion in the mind without either immediately accepting it or rejecting it. And Ray, before you continue, I just want to say to the listening audience, if people are not familiar with who this gentleman is, you should become familiar with his work. If your work is still online, Ray, if you want to give out any website that you have your work up on, please feel free to do so, because Ray was one of the people who actually influenced my awakening in a big way and helped me to go all the way in my understanding of truth and natural law. Ray has been talking about natural law for many, many, many years. I got into his work back in the early 2000s, and when he had a website with many of his podcasts up online. I still have all of them, Ray. I've listened to all of them. Your work is phenomenal. I want to thank you for what you have done and continue to do, and I'll open the floor for you to continue. And if you want to give out any websites where your work is currently present and available to people, feel free to go right ahead and do so.
Well, you know, Paul, the old adage still holds. It takes one to know one, and that's what's going on between you and I. We're resonating with one another. My website, by the way, for listeners, I've been a long-time caller to Republic, and John's had me on the show several times, but people don't get me. My website is arkenterprises.com. I have more than 100 YouTube videos that one can listen to. I'm controversial because I make the statement that I am a Christ, but I also make the statement that all men are Christ, but they suffer from amnesia, while I don't. And
powerful,
it is that
very powerful. We're all Christ in our potential. Absolutely.
That's true. That's absolute. See, we must traverse the deceptions, the illusions, the satanic conditioning that is our mindset at the present time while we live on this earth. We are controlled in our minds by those who, the leadership of organizations, and they will not relinquish that control. So it's an individual journey for people. You cannot get it by joining organizations. And it's to traverse from the illusion to truth. Well, truth is non-dualistic. It is what is, completely. And when one resonates with that, they are in the Christ state of consciousness. And they are immune to all of the dualistic attacks that the intellect will wage against one for the sake of power. That's how the government operates. That's how religions operate. They cannot stand a man or a woman who lives in truth. So they attack, they demean, they libel, they create all kinds of fantasies which are libelous in nature in order to discredit the individual. I've accepted that as being a fact of life. Sure. I've been doing this for 18 years, and I'm presently, if people will go to my site, they will look into a couple of recent articles that I've written, and the last one is to the governor of the state of Oregon, and I'm asking him to clean up his state of the corruption. I have him over the barrel. and all other public officials. They have control of the media, but they cannot control the truth.
That's right.
And that is the power of one who lives simply and lives in a state of no harm.
That's it.
Lives by God's law,
That's
by
right.
natural law.
That's right. The non-aggression principle. That's absolutely correct.
Right.
And when we stand in that truth, that's when we're expressing our full potential, and that's when we step into our power. And nothing can stop us when we do that. Ray, get in touch with me. I want to bring you on at some future point for a whole show. Thanks so much.
You're quite welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for this edition. I'll see you right here next week on Republic Broadcasting. You've been listening to What on Earth is Happening.